All right, next up on our agenda is our run showcase. And this is the first of 3 showcases today. We have our showcases, our presentations geared towards 3 specific categories. And our run means that we're going to get some tips or ideas, our feedback, our experience, expertise on how to run your business. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Steve Denny.
Well, great, Glenda. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I am Steve Denny. I'm a principal at Innovative Business Advisors, and we are very proud to be a new partner at E4E. And this is our first presentation. So I hope the group will give us a little bit of grace if I stumble a little bit this morning. But my desire is that you will really get something meaningful from this short overview. And hopefully it'll have a very positive impact on the profits of your business and your confidence as its owner. So let me share a screen here if I may. You guys see my screen okay? Excellent. Thank you for the feedback. So what I'm going to share with the group today is the first lesson in one of our most popular programs, CEO to CEO. And this is really the very foundation by which owners learn to take their business to previously unimaginable profits and success. So the presentation topic is really what you saw on the agenda is the income trend. And the income trend is really how the business can begin to talk to you as a business owner. So I got to make one quick adjustment to my screen here to get the controls front and center. So thank you for your patience. So just to give you a little bit of context for the CEO to CEO program, basically we teach business owners the numbers of their business, and we really walk them through how a dollar moves through their business from a sales perspective, from an expense perspective, and also from a capital perspective. We also teach them bankability, how to become bankable if they're not already, if they are bankable, how to increase their bankability and really then be able to use capital as rocket fuel to grow their business. And then finally, every business owner, very much like myself, we're all technical experts at our business, but nobody really taught us what are the key strategic decisions that need to be made in order to grow the value of our business. So as part of that program, we really highlight key strategic decisions that business owners can use in their thinking as they make those decisions every day in their business, decisions that will help grow the value of their business and really not hurt the value of their business. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of context about the program. One of the things I'd like to start with is a poll. So let me pull that up for you guys. And, we talk with business owners every single day. And really what we do is we read business owners' financial reports every single day with them as well. And it's amazing the range of differences that we see in standard operating reports. So, we have them bring in a copy of their reports and we go over their reports with them. And from the most common report that business owners use is the profit and loss statement. And we just see an incredible variety in the profit and loss statement. So I was very curious from this audience, how do you guys format your profit and loss statement? So it looks like we've got several answers coming in. It's interesting. We always ask our clients, what is the financial report that they read first? And probably 99% of the time or more, they tell us that the profit and loss statement is what they read first. So the other thing I would tell you that's really intriguing, many of you probably already know this, since I think the majority of folks on this call are business owners, but business owners are very unique readers. In the United States, our education system is structured in such a way that when kids start entering school, they're taught to read from the beginning all the way through to the end. But business owners don't do that. Business owners, when they get their financial reports, they start always at the end, right? So why is that? Owners report to us that, when they get their reports, the first thing they typically do is flip over and see, what did the bottom line show them? Was their net profit positive or negative? So kind of an interesting thing. And then they dig back into their report and try and glean some other stuff. So Uh, Let me share the results. Can everybody see that okay? Perfect. So excellent work. The vast majority of you guys have a one-page profit and loss summary. That's excellent. We're going to talk about why that is important as we move forward. Okay. So we commonly see three different types of P&Ls. And we refer to them really as good, better, and then even better. So let me give you a quick overview of each. This won't be new information for everybody, but what is a good report? Well, a good report is something that is relatively concise, that has all the expense detail and all of the revenue detail for the business. This would be an example of a good report, and you can see that this particular business does quite a bit of expense tracking. They've got a lot of different categories, and then they really look at it, each individual line item within those categories. And their report turns out to be 3 pages. We see most commonly, we see profit and loss summaries of 3 pages or more. The most I've ever seen is 11-page P&L. Can you imagine having an 11-page P&L and having to dig through that every day? So, a good report, this is what a good report would look like. An even better report. So what would classify a better report? A better report is where you would have your current period, right? Expense and revenue detail, plus either some comparable period or potentially even a year to date. So in this scenario, what you're seeing is a client that's got basically their current month, and then it rolls to a year to date format. So that can be very, very helpful, particularly in a situation like this. I know the prints are really small, but this client had a negative profit for that particular month, but for the year to date they were positive. So I'm sure that provided some sort of solace to them that even though they were not having the best month, they were having a pretty good year. Finally, what would we consider even better report? Well, this would be kind of a multi-format report. In this situation, and this client actually has a very concise one-page report, but they're looking at this period, same period last year. So they're comparing the same month this year to last year. What was the big change? And then they're looking at same period year to date this year and last year. So they're really looking at multiple factors of their business. And if you think about the fact that your financial documents for your business are really the face of your business, and you as an owner are uniquely qualified to be able to read and use these reports, it's really important to try and get as much strategic information in front of you as the owner so you can make good solid decisions about your business moving forward. So that's why we call these even better. It's a good starting point to have reports of this format. We see probably 2/3 of our clients have reports that just show the current month. And about 1/3 of our clients have reports that we would consider better or even better in that regard, where they've got more than just the current month on the report. So frankly, what that tells us, and what we've learned over the years, is that most of our client business owners, and keep in mind we're dealing with companies typically in 1 million to 50 million revenue range, most of those business owners are really not using their financial documents as a real strategic document to help them move the business forward. They're really using it as a document just to record history. So it's not always that meaningful to them. One other thing that's really interesting, because of the fact we work with so many companies, we often see financial reports for companies that are handled by the same bookkeeping company. And it's astounding that a lot of times bookkeepers and accountants, and I'm going to kind of paint with a general brush here. I know this is not specific to every one of them, but a lot of times bookkeepers and accountants will use the same format for every single client. So it gets to a couple of the things that all of these reports have in common. First, all of them detail income and expenses over a period of time. I'm sure everybody knew that. But really, the vast majority of the time, all your operating statements of your business are formatted to benefit your bookkeeper or accountant. They're very rarely formatted to benefit the owner. And this is something that is not the accountant and bookkeeper's fault. This is really the owner's fault because the owner hasn't adjusted the statements to meet their particular needs. They've really just accepted them as they've come in the vast majority of the time. And again, as I said earlier, they really only show what the owner, what has already happened in the business to the owner. And the owners are typically not using their financial statements as a forward-looking document. So, the big question is, what can an owner do about that, right? What can they do about it? Well, the first and most important thing they can do is flip over to a different type of a format. But before we get there, I want to ask you one more poll question. So, thank you, Mr. Hankey, for setting these up. Let me launch this polling. So what I'm asking you as a group now is thinking about your own business reports. How soon after the end of each month do you typically get your reports? So we see all kinds of answers in these regards. But if your financial documents are really something that can become a strategic document that can help you improve the performance of your business, um, I would also invite you to consider that really time is not your friend, right? So if we think about this for a minute, if you're getting the reports after the period has ended, what can you do about them? What can you do? So we got just a few more seconds to go here, but what I'm seeing so far is pretty typical answers. Let me share this polling result with you. Can everybody see that? So we've got half of the people are saying they get their reports within a few days or a week at the end of the period. That's excellent, right? That's a pretty speedy period of time in terms of reporting. But 2 or 3 weeks or longer after the end of the period, now you're talking about something that should be recorded in a history book someplace because the information is very, very difficult to use at that point in time. So let me talk to you about a different format. And I'm going to switch gears here and show you a new format. We call this the income trend. Can everybody see that okay? Excellent. Thank you, Glenda. I appreciate that. What we invite business owners to do is to take their income operating statements, if you will, their profit and loss statements, and put them in a column format 1 month after the other. So what you'll see here is one of our clients, and this is their September period recently closed. So they've got September in there, and you can see the last 4 months ahead of that. So what does this enable you to do as a business owner? One of the key things we preach is that gross profit is probably the most important line on your financial operating statement. Why is that the case? Because everything after gross profit is what you have available as an owner to pay yourself and all of your expenses, right? This particular company happens to be a service company. So that, as you can see, they have very, very strong margins. Had a little blip here in August where their margin went down significantly, and I'm sure we're going to see an effect as we go down the P&L. But again, if you begin to lay things into a format like this, you really begin to see what's happening in the business. So you can begin to really see from month to month what are the big differences in the business. Okay, so what would you say in this particular business? Looks like they've got a pretty positive trend going. Would you agree? I mean, sales have gone from in May of 2.6 million to September of 4.2 million. So they're growing sales nicely. I would say something unusual must have happened in August and in September. Perhaps they've made some significant adjustments in their business, or they have a new line of business that's come in that has got a different level of gross profit for them. But you can see that there are some things that are affecting the gross profit lines. Everything else below that, of course, are all their expenses, right? And then a couple of significant enhancements that we add to the report. The number one thing that business owners that we've talked with struggle with is their operating report, their profit and loss summary can show them whether or not their business made money or lost money, but it rarely coincides to their bank balance. And they're always like, well, if I made so much money, how come I never have any money in the bank, right? Well, one of the things we do is we actually create this true cash line, which really shows them what is the cash production of the business. It's kind of a hybrid of marrying their profit and loss summary to their cash flow statement. But if you look at this, you can also see on the journey to that, we also factor out to an EBITDA line and factor out what the owner's compensation is in the business. So why do we do that? Because for a business, if you are bankable and you're using capital to really grow your business, i.e. using lending potentially to grow your business, your bank very typically wants to measure you at an EBITDA level. So we want to make sure that business owners are well acquainted with what is the EBITDA margin of their particular business. They should know that before their banks know that, and they should know it down cold. The other thing is banks always assume that if the business gets in trouble, the owner can quit paying themselves, make sure everybody else gets paid, but the owner needs to sacrifice their earnings first before the bank loses its, before the bank is in jeopardy of not getting paid. So we always want to be upfront about the owner and the compensation that they're experiencing from the business, because if the business gets in trouble, the first thing the bank's going to ask them to do is come in and sacrifice some or all of that in order to meet all of their obligations. And then, as you can see, it takes them down to what's called a true cash scenario. So it really shows them the true cash flow of the particular business. So one thing I want to illustrate for you is one thing that is very uncommon is to add percentages next to the dollar amounts. So we do that for a very specific reason as well, because as a business owner, you should think about your business from what's called a common sense method, so that you can really see how do your expenses move over time. And when you're evaluating them as a percentage of revenue, you can see when things are moving favorably. So for example, in this scenario, they're actually becoming more effective from a payroll perspective. They're getting higher productivity out of their people because payroll expense as a percentage of the revenue is actually going down over time. That's one of the things a business owner strategically, would always like to have more productivity out of folks, right? So the percentages allow you to really evaluate your business in that particular regard. So again, I want to emphasize a couple of things. Your business is not comparable to others. Let me make a quick switch here. Your business is really not comparable to others, right? Your business is unique. Even within the same industry, two identical businesses that are virtually doing the same thing, you could take two Subway franchises, and I guarantee you their income statements are going to look very different. So remember, your business is not comparable to others. It's up to you as the owner to maximize your particular business and the opportunity that your business has. Your business also changes over time. When you look at it in a trend format, you can really see those changes. And then what begins to happen almost naturally, the human mind takes over, and you begin to see the trends that are taking place in your business, and you begin to see the change that's happening in your business. And we all know that hindsight is 2020. The ability to look back and see what actually happened can inform your actions moving forward. So the real interesting thing is, as you begin to monitor the trends in your business, you really begin to uncover as a business owner what your business is capable of achieving. And as you begin to have that confidence, it really gives you the ability to make some changes in your business that can incur to your benefit as a business owner. So key takeaways I'd like for you guys to take from this presentation. First off, try and get your profit and loss statement on one page if it's not already there. Much easier for you to look at it on one page. You get all the information concisely put together, and it'll make your life a lot easier. Always look at comparable time periods next to each other. Look at them in a trend, right? And if you were to look at our income statement, for example, you'd see, at least the last 2 years in a trend together. So it's really nice when you can look at the data and actually see what's happening in your business. Your brain will automatically pick up the trends. Add the percentages next to the numbers so you can really see, if my revenue is changing dramatically from month to month, is the percentage of money that I'm spending in each of those categories changing as well, right? So it allows you to really see easy trends, focus on sales, which every business owner does intuitively. But don't forget, gross margin is probably the most important thing in your business. Really focus on gross margin. It's not necessarily what you're selling, it's actually, what you get to keep from what you're selling that's important. So gross margin is really what leads to net income. So when you focus on gross margin and net income, you can really begin to improve your business. And then also add a measurement for true cash. Most business owners don't do this. And I would venture to say, if I were to poll 100 business owners, probably 90 of them would say to us that they don't really understand why their profit and loss statement says one thing, but their bank balance says something else. And that's a big gulf for most business owners' operations. But if you put that on your statement and see it every month, you can keep close tabs on what's really happening in your business. So remember, your operating reports demonstrate what your business has already accomplished, but begin to use those reports to help you drive the business moving forward. So one thing I'd like to share with you, if anybody would like a copy of the income trend template that I've illustrated, please reach out to me either via phone or email, and we'd be delighted to share the blank template with you. So thank you very much for your attention. And Glenda, I'm going to hand the mic back over to you.